Good evening. Welcome to the October work session for City of
Miami. We're back in Miami.
Wishful thinking.
Mr. Palmer, can you do the invocation and the pledge, please?
Bow your heads with me. Our kind and blessed Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day that you've given us. Lord, we thank you for all the many blessings you bestowed upon this community. And we ask, Lord, to protect your hand to continue, that you will be with us, with our first responders, with all those that serve and protect. Lord, we ask you to go with us through the course of this meeting, that you be in the deliberations that come before this body. We ask all of this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we ready? Now we will recognize the Hiram Elementary School Citizenship Award recipients. Principal Black.
Good evening, and thank you, Hiram City Council, once again for letting us recognize our outstanding Hiram performance. I would first like to start with kindergarten. This student is such a great example of citizenship. She exhibits kindness, fairness, and an eagerness to help everyone around her. She has a sweet spirit about her that draws others to her. She is an extraordinary young lady who will continue to do great things in her family, class, school, and community. We are so proud to have Malika Sipa represent kindergarten at Hiram Elementary. This next student shows citizenship at school by always showing kindness towards her peers. She consistently shows responsibility and respect towards students and adults. She always has a positive attitude, follows rules, and helps her classmates. She is a role model in first grade. Congratulations to Miss Natalia Hines.
Might want to let them know we'll take pictures after. They'll have time to take pictures after.
Second grade is proud to honor this student for his citizenship. There are so many great things to say about him. He is a star student. He is kind, respectful, and devoted to following Hiram's 3 Bs. We are extremely proud of him and excited to see him continue to grow and flourish. Congratulations to Michael San George. This next student shows such kindness and compassion for everyone that she meets. She is a wonderful example of how we follow the 3 Bs at Hiram with integrity, even when nobody is watching. She is such a good sport, loves to ask questions, and always participates. She is special to her teachers and classmates. She works very hard in all of her subjects, and Hiram is blessed to have her as a new Hornet. Congratulations to Omni Matia. This 4th grade student is someone who cares about her work and others. She works hard to be inclusive of her classmates by encouraging them when they struggle academically or are having a bad day. She is involved in school activities such as chorus and our chess club. She is an example of what it means to be a great citizen. Congratulations to Callie Turner. This fifth grader is an exemplary example of what it means to be a good citizen. He not only participates in school activities such as student council, but he also works hard to make sure that every student in the class feels comfortable and accepted in their community. He goes above and beyond to help others, works hard to improve himself, and makes sure that everyone feels included and welcome. Congratulations to Mr. Franklin Malden.
He's got his baseball, pants on.
Congratulations. All right.
Don't sit down.
And we'll move out of the way as soon as we get one good shot. Y'all are welcome to take all the shots you want. You just have to corral the mayor and council. Ready?
Shots, a bunch of police, not a happy.
1, 2, 3. You got the mayor and council in too?
Stay here just like that.
Nothing's okay. I didn't feel it. It's pretty big.
Turn around.
One more. One more. Oh, don't go anywhere yet, Principal Black.
Principal Black, stand by.
Uh-oh.
I can listen to follow directions.
Call to the principal's office.
Y'all can go ahead and sit down.
Being that October is National Principals Month, we have a proclamation for Principal Black. Whereas a principal's leadership is a crucial element needed to ensure the academic success of Hiram students. And whereas school principals are responsible for the day-to-day operation of their school, which includes supporting students as learners, overseeing the effective implementation of student-centered programs, building meaningful relationships with students, families, teacher, community partners, and nurturing a student-focused school culture. And whereas school principals are instructional leaders, working with teachers to establish high expectations for all students and promote the use of effective and appropriate classroom practices. And whereas school principals work diligently to create a positive school climate that is inviting to students, families, and the community, as well as provide a safe and supportive environment where students can learn, grow, and achieve any goal. And whereas the National Association of Elementary School Principals, the American Federation of School Administrators, and the National Association of Secondary School Principals, working with the United States Congress, have designated October as National Principals Month. Now therefore, I, Frank Moran, the Mayor of the City of Hiram, Georgia, do hereby proclaim October as National Principals Month and present this proclamation to Principal Emily Black, Assistant Principal Anita Cooper, and Assistant Principal Thomas Beams for formally recognize their hard work at Hiram Elementary School. Thank you. Congratulations. And for all the hard work that you do with these children.
I enjoy it. I love every day.
I thought we should. I
Right
know.
in the middle, I guess. They like it when you count. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you so very much.
Congratulations.
And parents and students, we're not kicking you out. You're welcome to stay, but you are definitely also welcome to go. It's not rude.
Congratulations. And you going to baseball practice now, or game? I said, he has his baseball pants on.
My coworker.
Oh, that was nice.
Full love for everyone.
Come on, girl. You know where you're going to go. You too, love. Hey, think about me.
Discussion items, we're going to discuss accepting the amended rural tribal body worn camera grant at an increased award of $100,000, of which the city's matching portion of $50,000 will be paid from Police Plus. Chief?
Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor, Council, good evening. Last month, we came to you with an approval from the small rural development fund for the purchase of body cameras for the police department. When the grant award was received, it had been doubled from the original amount of $50,000 to $100,000. So I had to come back to ask permission to receive that, with $50,000 coming from the SPLOST program, $50,000 be provided by the federal government. So it's just an administrative increase in the amount of funding that will be provided to the city of Hiram.
Awesome.
Good.
Thank you, Chief.
Any questions?
While you're there, Chief, discuss the acceptance of Firehouse Subs Public Safety Grant Award for $13,993.21.
Before we begin on that one, I would like to thank a couple of people for their hard work on that. Jennifer Prather, who actually did most of the paperwork that was required, David McLeod, who put together the specifications, and Lieutenant Third, who helped ramrod this particular grant. Firehouse presents public safety grants every quarter. We've tried desperately over the last few years to be able to try to get some of their funding. This year we put in for a grant for $13,993.21. This is first aid equipment and first aid training equipment. This will outfit all of our vehicles with basic first aid and trauma, although we have some moderate amount of first aid equipment. This will give us a new level of first aid equipment to be able to provide on the scene until the arrival of emergency medical personnel, which is becoming more and more difficult as the community continues to grow. In some cases, we're waiting for a protracted period of time until the arrival of medical personnel. But also, this is training equipment for our personnel to make sure that we can train them to the level that they need to deal with more serious injuries beyond just the Band-Aid and aspirin type events. Any questions?
Great job, Chief. Thank you.
Do any police departments carry the AEDs with them?
Many of the police departments do. We're in the process of trying to find a grant to replace the ones that we have had. They've all gone out of date at this point. So we're in the process of trying to replace AEDs in our vehicles at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Discuss the purchase of 7 vehicles for the police department. Deputy Chief?
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for allowing me to present this to you guys tonight. I won't take up too much time. We have a full agenda. I was tasked with putting together a vehicle package to get us by for a while. With this package, it includes 5 police interceptors that are the Ford Explorers, same as we use currently. 1 F-150 pickup truck, which would be replacing a vehicle coming out of service due to mileage and maintenance issues, and 1 Ford Escape, which would go towards a new detective position that you guys granted us back in July. The 5 police vehicles are to fill the needs out of those 8 positions you've allowed us to hire. We're getting close to that coming to light. So we're trying to be proactive and get those cars in before people are not able to drive them. The total for the 7 vehicles, the best quote was from Hardy, $309,010. And with the upfit, the grand total for 7 vehicles with upfit is $498,998. That does not include finance charges, which we're maybe exploring a new option, but that does not include the finance charges, which is going to go either through Hardy, through Ford Finance, or we're looking at a new one through GMA. So, wishing that you would grant us approval to start this purchase. Any questions on this?
Is there any backup plan to go with alternate vehicles?
No. Long and short is no. There was something else that I looked into for the chief, and getting used vehicles that are from other police departments, and it's
You're just inheriting somebody's problem.
yes. You do get their maintenance records for that vehicle, but you're getting something with 60 to 100,000 miles already, and it's a year, it's end of life. So
Yeah. Did you want to add something?
I just want to clarify a couple of points that he made. We did make contact with the state of Missouri motor pool for the Missouri State Police, and they do take their vehicles out of service after 60,000 miles. So, for example, what they have available is they have some 2022 Ford Explorers, which have between 60 and 65,000 miles, and they're asking $32,000 per vehicle. Plus, if they do not take the blue lights off, they want an additional $900 per vehicle. And they also have 2021s, 2020s, and then they have some 2019s. But again, these are all used vehicles. There is a jurisdiction close to us that is using this process. But again, as the deputy chief pointed out, these are used vehicles, so it's the council's decision which way to go. The second part is on financing. We have been using Ford Motor Credit Company to finance our vehicles and upfitting. We have never used GMA before, and GMA actually funds police cars for 330 jurisdictions in the state of Georgia. I made contact with Philip Potter and gave him just a ballpark figure at that point of if we were looking around $300,000, $400,000. And basically what he was saying is that we could finance for either 3 or up to 5 years, which is not permissible under Ford Motor. They're at a 3-year limit. And that our interest rate would be somewhere in under 5% or under, based upon the city's credit rating. And that we could pay annually or we could pay monthly. But after checking with our finance personnel, we cannot do monthly payments. We don't have the ability to do financial transactions. So we would have to do a yearly payment. So it would be considerably cheaper for us to look locally for financing, because this could include the upfitting of the vehicles through GMA.
I'd just like to say that I appreciate the fact that we're doing business with one of our, with Hardy, which is right here in the county. So I appreciate that. I'm sure they do too.
comes down to price.
Chief, what's the life expectancy on the vehicles? How mileage-wise, how long do you plan to keep them?
We do not like to see, unlike the Missouri Highway Patrol, who currently has a much larger budget, we don't like to see a vehicle out there after about 75,000 miles. First, there's 2 issues. First is safety. Second is our resale cost. Once we get close to $80,000, drops dramatically.
So if you use a 75,000 mile, what's the average?
About 5 years.
So you could go to the 5-year financing.
We actually have one vehicle out there. I won't claim it's our best vehicle, but we have a 2015 that we're still using right now. It's a spare, but it goes from point A to point B.
Sometimes.
Some most of the time.
Thank you, Vince. Discuss Hiram Roosevelt School and Museum's request to hold a special event on March 29, 2025 in downtown Hiram to include city property.
There's nobody here.
Jody, we have anybody that's going to speak to this?
I don't see him.
See Tyrone, but that is the proposed location, and it is March 25th, I believe. It's
29th.
Sorry, of 2025, not 25. A taste or food type of event, so.
Mayor, I'm sorry, Tyrone and I've had some discussions about this because of security issues. What he's talking about is doing a Taste of Hiram, which would be a combination of a showcase for food vendors in and around Hawley County to be able to come out and be able to present the community with different dishes, but at the same time, it would also be a showcase for wedding planners to decorate different tables that would be out there for the food to be served on or consumed out, so that people that are looking for those services within Hiram would be able to have the ability to see both of these services at the same time. It's, the question is being within the city's alcohol area, because that is one of the aspects that he would like to pursue, is to have the ability to have alcohol available during this event. And then I think the collaboration would require us to have a longer discussion on times and security for this event.
But as far as right now, it's not an alcohol request, because that's just part of the
It's
special
just about
event
the
permit
event.
process. This is the permission to use, as you can see, the back City Hall parking lot. So he has to get permission to use city property.
Where are they going to park?
The discussion was that they would be using, as we do with other events, they would be using other parking areas and then having people brought to the location.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief. I get it.
Any other questions? Thank you, Chief. Discuss the municipal millage rate, Jody.
Good evening.
Here.
As we do annually for the adoption of the millage rate, we do a preparation document, both showing the last 5 years of tax census history and levy. Obviously, we have historically since 1976 rolled back to 0% or 0 mills and declared no taxes. And we're showing that same calculation this year as well. You can see the 5-year tax notice has gone out to Dallas to Hiram. And then we have prepared the forms for the coming tax year, which will run from, well, runs this year, it straddles over to October, essentially of next year. We're also proposing 0 mills. But we did provide, because, you know, a lot of talk about what a mill is, how it functions, what it does. So, give credit to Melissa Choseman. She helped and essentially drafted the visual aid that you see there, just so that you can get an understanding of how millage rate plays into the budget. It is used to offset the budget and roll back what lost provides. So our local option sales tax is the penny tax that we collect that can be utilized for operations that goes into your M&O budget. And the value of which we assign properties, or which the tax assessors have assigned to properties, that value of the property is what determines the tax rate that it will be. It gives you a step-by-step breakdown. The millage rate is a multiplier by which 40% of the assessed value of your home is multiplied to calculate your property tax bill if you were to establish a millage rate. And just to give you, and you can read this yourself, I'll be happy to go through it step by step, but just to give you the scenario, if we were to take the most recently adopted budget this year, projected revenues were $6.6 million and some change. Projected expenditures were 9.2 million, but it dropped about 2.6 million. To make up that difference, to compensate for that budget, we would have had to establish a millage rate of 6.54 mil. With lost rollback calculated, the collection of loss of 1.3 million, the rollback would be 3.2, which would mean for us to bridge the gap to have a balanced budget presented. Utilizing this process, we would have an established millage rate of 3.34 mil. Now, we haven't done that. We have always rolled that back to zero and made up the difference through our cash collections, whether it be general fund balance that we have from year to year, as well as rolling fund balance from previous fiscal years. But I thought for some of you that have not experienced what millage is like and may have a question about it, this was a brilliant example of how it would have impacted the budget.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And again, I would like to thank Melissa Chosen for putting that together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
She
you,
likes
Judy.
math.
Discuss the 2025 council meeting calendar.
It's in your packet. I followed, the first Tuesday, last Tuesday, with a couple of deviations, which are noted at the very, very bottom of that calendar, just so you were aware of what the deviations were. I liked this format a little better than the one we've been using, just using the colors and then actually being able to expand at the bottom with the code. Didn't know if you wanted to make any changes to it.
February and April, they don't interfere with the winter break or the spring break. No, I have the calendar, and it won't affect our calendar.
And I did make a deviation in June, because I did look at the 2025 GMA convention dates, so that hopefully we can be ahead on that and not, do that later. I think that was all the dates I really knew for sure.
Any other questions?
No.
Thank you, Melissa. Discuss the events place contract.
This is the draft that you all had for quite some time. I haven't made any changes to it since I sent that out. And it's basically trying to capture the will of the council based on the decision of the $10 an hour rental at the events place for the nonprofits and other agencies. Historically, or I should say historically, the contract prohibits it being held for a public event, financial transactions occurring. So I wanted to try to capture y'all's intent through that contract, so they don't sign this contract that they're knowingly going to violate. So I know I heard back from Councilmember Debbie. It did.
There's just one thing, and thank you for working on this, Melissa. One thing that I wanted to include, we did say nonprofits and agencies, however, nothing that relates to politics, so non-political
No,
kind of
right.
events. Let's keep it politic-free.
We've never had that.
I don't think so.
I could use the same, similar
Okay.
verbiage at from Gray's Mill, because you all had that put in.
Okay.
Okay.
Just
I'll do
make sure
that.
it's free of politics.
All right. Discuss live streaming of council meetings. Melissa, you have anything?
Hi. I saw proposals, and as you see in your packet, I received one. That gentleman is here, Michael Upshaw, above the cloud. This is his second visit here. If you have any questions, he's a very large wealth of knowledge when it comes to that. He currently live streams for Powder Springs. And you work with Chat Hills, correct?
Yes.
So, if you have any questions? The proposal is in there. I'd like to also take the time to mention that this is Scott's last meeting with us. So we're bidding farewell to him, and I would say as a segue in the conversation, if you all decide not to go with live streaming, I would still request that we consider above the clouds services to do the recording, the setup. I just saw today we had an issue with the TVs, which draws us away from what we're here to do, which is take care of everyone in this room as our priority. So I would like you to consider that, even if you don't go live streaming. And currently, his proposal is using our platform, like our own platform. You don't live stream from Facebook or YouTube. It's actually Hiram's platform that you live stream from. Plus, the recordings are housed there. So whether you do live stream or not, they're housed there. Is anything? That work? So any thoughts?
Well, I was looking at the proposal, and for the live streaming, if we have our own equipment, it's $27,588 per year. But if we use their equipment, it's $35,988 a year. It's a lot of money.
Agreed.
Now, to continue on the platform we're on, Michael?
Yes.
What would the cost be for the platform just to record the?
So, thank you, first of all, for allowing me to get up and speak. So, the platform itself would house all of your content. So, we would basically build your own streaming platform. So, like, it would be, let's just say, CITYOFHIRAMGA.GOV. So, all of your content would be there from every meeting. People would be able to go on and be able to watch all of those meetings. Our platform is actually developed to restream to any other platform. But with other platforms, sometimes you have to be concerned with things getting blocked or just various different things. So that platform that we put together for you, we supported everything like that, but it would be $4.99 a month for us to manage that entire workflow for you. So every meeting that you have, so outside of us coming in and running the meetings for you, which is the cost, if you get your own equipment, then we just charge a service fee to come in and run all of your meetings. That being said, we also put together a package of you buying your own cameras and different things like that, and we would come in, install all of that, and then we would manage it as well. So what we do for the city of Powder Springs is every single city council meeting, town hall meeting, our team comes in and actually does all the video production work, all the audio stuff, post the videos afterwards to make sure that everything is there, everything's typed the right way and all of that. So there's a lot of back-end support that we provide as well. So that's what that monthly fee covers.
Okay, so you're $4.99 a month, comes out to $59.88 a year.
Yes.
Any other questions?
I have a question. How long would you be able to archive our recorded sessions? I know it's limited now. I think it's a year or 2 years.
Well, it's not just limited, it's actually a retention schedule that was adopted by the mayor and council.
Okay.
So it's not a limitation of our platforms or
Okay, so it's not the
anything else.
platform.
So if you want to
Okay.
change that, you would have to change the retention schedule.
Okay, and how do we change the retention schedule?
It's an ordinance adoption. So basically, the mayor and council adopted the Georgia Archives retention schedule with a deviation because the actual retention schedule for meetings is, I think, 90 days or 6 months after the minutes are adopted. And I requested a deviation to a year.
Okay.
So you would have to re-adopt that with a larger deviation.
Okay. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Discuss rebranding. Yes, ma'am. Turn up the volume on your hearing aid.
used to say to my father.
Okay. Discuss rebranding. Who wants to take this?
I don't think we should. That's my opinion.
Who asked for it to be put on the agenda?
I think this was a follow-up because in 2023 during our budget hearing, our clerk, Melissa, approached us with the idea of rebranding, and we didn't move forward in 2023 during our budget hearing. And then I guess that was when we revisited it in 2024 during our last budget meeting.
That's where we put 50,000 in the budget for it, which wouldn't cover anything.
Won't cover anything. I think this is,
It won't cover, but Chief, I know you rebranded, when you saw the badge and you rebranded, what is the process to go about rebranding? And could we do it with the amount that we budgeted?
You have the signs.
Without getting
I was just-
quotes, I would not even venture to guess at this point of rebranding, because again, remember, you're gonna have to cover all entrances and exits to the city, the water tower, all of the civic buildings, all of your stationery, those types of things. How did we go about it? It was an executive decision, this is the new way we're gonna head. And then when we went into the patch design, there became some issues with having too many things on the patch. It became so crowded that you could not actually see what the city's logo was, which required us to remove some items from the patch and go with a new design, a new outline that would fit everything that we had. And then as we did the badge, the same thing, we just centered it on the center of the actual city's logo, which is the train.
Okay.
So that's how we went about it. But it was, again, the costing, that is something that would have to be done through a bid process.
Thank you.
some of the things we got, there was,
Yes.
one proposal was $109,750. Another one was $8,250 for logo only, and the other one was $68,725, plus $150 an hour for follow-up calls. Pretty expensive,
Mayor,
yes.
that doesn't include any of the signs, the
Right,
8
no, that
signs
is
or
correct.
anything.
That's just for professional services.
Oh.
Yeah. I think that's a bit much to be jumping into right now. We've got some other budgetary items that we need to worry about.
Okay.
You good?
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you. Discuss meeting procedures and mayoral proclamation procedures.
Mayor,
Yes,
there was someone here that wanted to speak about a presentation.
okay.
It's not a real, I made some copies for y'all. And it's
Hello.
not a real good presentation up front, but as far as paperwork. goes,
Hello, how are you?
Thank y'all for having me. I think maybe most of you know me now, but my name is Carmen Rollins. I was the mayor here from 2005 until 2011. And I just heard that this rebranding was kind of becoming an issue, and I just wanted to kind of offer, I'm not here to debate it or argue over it or anything. I just want everybody to understand how the logo came about. And hopefully maybe make everybody feel better, but we'll see. Can y'all hear me? I don't know. I'm not good at talking. Okay, anyway, just a little brief, and I'm not going to take 30 minutes or anything, but just a little brief explanation about me, because it kind of has a lot to do with this, is we came to Hiram, my husband and I opened a pawn shop down in town, and it's kind of a God thing, because we just never thought about moving to Hiram, but somebody told us about the pawn shop, and we came over and talked to Miss Wade about it one Saturday afternoon. And at that time, I don't know how many of y'all have lived here longer than 10 years? most everybody's been on the team, okay, that's good. Well, then you remember probably back to 2005 and before, there really wasn't a lot going on in Hiram. I mean, our little town was kind of dead. It just didn't look like it looks now. We didn't have any restaurants down here. We didn't have the depot was just sitting there all kind of old and dilapidated looking. It was full of antiques for years. And then, so anyway, we were sitting on the porch and my husband wanted to open a pawn shop. And I said, I have no idea why, but I feel like we're supposed to do this. I mean, it was dead as a rock down here that day. But I just felt like it was just something we were supposed to do. And as it turns out, apparently it was, because not too long after that, I ended up running for mayor and won. And it's been a good 5.5 years here doing things that you can ask Jody. I've come up with a lot of ideas. And then you would have to execute them. It was great about it. So I sat down, and it wasn't just me, so they're not just my signs, but we sat down as a group. All my employees that wanted to participate were involved. And we had Dean Morgan, who was Echo Graphics, and him came in. And I sort of gave him, you know, my idea that was up in my mind. And he came in, and he drew some things, and came in, and we were like, no, that's not what we're looking for. So I came up with the history, heritage, and hope, just to tie into Hiram, you know, something with H's. And then I wanted something to represent the history and heritage and hope. So I got, not too long after, I don't know when this was written, but anyway, Kathy Brookout, who used to be on our city council, wrote a little history book about Hiram. If y'all haven't seen it, she did a really nice job on it. It's really good. And so I used this book, and I looked through it, and I read through it, and I realized that, as you can see from the cover, or maybe you can't see from the cover, there's a picture of it in there. Cotton was a big deal down here. It was a big deal in the 1800s, I guess. There was a lot of people that bought and sold cotton in here in town, and it was shipped out on our railroad, and it was a big industry. It was a commodity. It's just a product, you know. So that was back then. So that I kind of associated with the history. And of course, the train was back then, and it is now, and it's probably going to be until we're all dead. And then I wanted something to represent hope, so that's the sun. So it's, you know, sunshine, son of God, something, however you want to let that represent it to you. But a lot of thought went into it, and there was not 1 ounce of any thought about anything being offensive to anybody. And as far as I knew, for the past, I mean, they've been up for, I don't know how long, since 2006 or something like that. And this is the first I ever heard about anybody, you know, not liking what was on them. And I understand maybe the why, I do. But it's just 2 pots of cotton, you know, it's just a product. You know, we all wear it, we sleep on it, we dry with it, we clean our ears with it, you know, I mean, it's just a product. And that's all it ever represented, was a product that was very prominent in our downtown. In fact, from what this book says, we were like a major area for cotton trade. And some of the people that really created this town and made it, you know, anything, and made it into a town, Mr. Gray, I believe it's Garrett Gray, invented the first, he built the first cotton gin in Paulding County. And he later on went, I think he was a politician too later. But anyway, I just wanted to, you know, I had a vision for this city when I came here. And we didn't have a brand. We didn't have any identity. We were just here. We were kind of like the redheaded stepchildren of the county, so to speak. And so I wanted us to have an identity, and I wanted it to be meaningful, and I wanted it to be something that we could all be proud of. We did a lot of other things besides the signage and the logos. We did, you know, sidewalks, we did the park, we did, you know, a lot of different things that I'm very proud of. And so I wanted to explain from my heart how the logo was designed, and it was never, ever, ever meant to be offensive to anyone, not me. So the other part that concerns me is the money, because it costs a good bit to get those signs made, and they still look good, and to have to recreate the wheel at this point is going to be very expensive. And really kind of, I don't know, I feel like it's going to put a bad light on us. You know, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about that, but I love this city. I loved it then. I love it now. I did everything in my power to make it a better place for us to live and play. We did a lot of events back when I was there, and I wore my staff out pretty much because we did a lot. We did Old Town Hiram Day, which sounds a lot like the event y'all are talking about, the Taste of Hiram, and it was a huge success. And we did concerts at the park and the amphitheater up there. And so, you know, I know life has to go on and things change and everything, but I hope it won't change. It was a group effort, and we were all very proud of it. And you know, there was nothing about it that we meant to be offensive to anyone. So we just wanted it to look nice, and when we put them all up, everybody was like, "Oh wow, your signs look so great!" And I had other cities call us, you know, so we did our signs, and you know, who made them and everything. So we were quite proud of those. So I hope y'all will just take that into consideration and just know that from my heart that it was well intended.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing.
You know, and cotton is still a big economic engine around here. Some friends of ours, and we took a ride over to Alabama a couple weekends ago, and I saw nothing but fields and fields of cotton over there, so it's still a big economic engine for this part of the country. Okay, discuss meeting procedures and mayoral proclamation procedures. Jason?
Mayor, I'll start with the council procedures. If you'll recall, back during our July work session, we had our initial discussion about what type of procedures y'all wanted to see. We've added those back and forth. During our August work session, we presented a PowerPoint which kind of honed in a little more narrowly as to what these procedures would look like. What you have in your packets today is the draft ordinance. It's still a work in progress, but I wanted to talk about the changes that I've made to the draft based on your feedback from the August work session. At the August work session, there appeared to be a consensus that we did not want time limitations on council discussions, so that has been removed. That was the primary change from that work session. One of the other changes I've made is that I realized that if agenda items were to be submitted to the mayor at least 7 days in advance, then there was another provision that said you always get your packets at least 7 days in advance. So the mayor and the clerk had to turn it all around in the course of a single work day. So I figured that's not good. So I adjusted the city manager will try to get the documents to you at least 5 days prior to the meeting. So that change has been made, and then I did need your clarification on one item. I could not recall what the consensus was. During the citizens wishing to speak on agenda items component, as well as a visitor business component, there was some discussion of having a 5-speaker limit. Each speaker will be entitled to 3 minutes. Do you want a 5-speaker limit? Do you want a different limit, or do you just not want a limit at all?
I didn't know we were going to have a limit. I don't remember that.
Okay. And the version that you have right now in your packet does not have a limit. Obviously doesn't matter to me. Just want to make sure I've got in there what y'all want to say.
Now, how will our citizens be informed of this new procedure if we adopt it?
If you adopt it, that's up to the city it'll be on Unicode. It'll be on the code of ordinances that are available to the public.
And I would plan to link it on our website as it is now. Visitor business is linked on there.
Okay. And will it be announced during, I think it's before or after new business? So would someone announce it to those who are not familiar with the process so they can have the opportunity to approach council?
I think we could have kind of an educational kind of first meeting where we kind of, hey, here's a new procedure that's been adopted. We want to walk everybody through it just so you're aware of how it will work. And we may need to do that a couple of times, but eventually everybody who comes to the meeting will know.
Jason, will we have a sign-up sheet? So say I was a citizen and I came in and I wanted to talk on item number 8. So would I sign up and, to talk on an agenda item, my name, agenda item number 8?
Yes.
So,
For instance, Mayor Rollins, she came in here to speak tonight on the rebranding. She would come in, she would sign up for the rebranding agenda item, put her name on it. Once the meeting, occasionally you'll hear a gavel go down when the meeting starts. I don't know if you've ever heard that before. But
No.
just because we all jump.
when that noise happens, everybody who's going to speak on an agenda item needs to be signed up, and either the chief or some staff member, someone would take the sign-up sheet and deliver it to the mayor, so the mayor knows who needs to be called upon to deliver their comments.
And they will speak on those items prior to getting to them on the agenda.
Yes, the idea is that you will receive the public's input and feedback before you begin to discuss or vote on that.
Not right before it,
No, at the beginning of
at
the
the
meeting.
beginning of the meeting. Okay.
Yeah, it used to, the county used to have a process like this where people spoke at the end of the meeting, and the idea was, well, what good is that?
Right.
If they've already voted on something.
Makes sense.
And then visitor business will occur during regular sessions, but at the end of the meeting.
And that's on non-agenda items.
Correct. And that's, the only restriction there is that it has to have something to do with the city.
Okay.
I mean, I've seen some of these, we don't need to take the city council's time for a presentation that has nothing to do with the city of Hiram.
Correct. I agree.
Mayoral proclamations, go to that one. All right, so on the mayoral proclamation side, you have a draft. Basically, because proclamations are ceremonial in nature, the city charter says the ceremonial functions of the city vest with the mayor. A proclamation is something to formally honor or commemorate a day, an event, individual, groups, causes, something along those lines. I've put in the ordinance that it's clear a mayoral proclamation does not have the force or effect of law. Again, it is a ceremonial declaration. It's within the discretion of the mayor because it's a ceremonial function. City council members can request the mayor to make a proclamation. You have to present those to the mayor at least 30 days in advance of the date that you want it on the agenda. Have some written documentation just explaining what it is you're seeking. And then in the event that something else comes up where we don't hit those timelines, the mayor will have discretion to put on proclamations requested by the public that don't meet that 30-day deadline.
So section 227
Yes.
is being established now because there's nothing in our charter to reference on how we proceed with proclamations?
Yes, that was,
Okay.
there was some,
So,
there's always practices, there's always how we've done it. There's the
Okay.
100-year rule, that's the way we've always done it. This changes that, makes it an ordinance.
okay, so I disagree with section 227B as it is left to the discretion of the mayor, and according to our charter, we are voted in, elected, and there is no hierarchy as far as the powers are limited. So according to those powers, this I do not agree with, because, maybe not Frank, but it could be another mayor, if there is a group or an organization or an agency that the mayor is not aligned with or does not want to support it, it will lead to bias practices. I feel we need to establish a criteria of what proclamations, when we are issuing proclamations, there should be a criteria. Whether they serve the people of the community or on the state level, there should be a criteria, and I don't see that's absent on here. Secondly, we should establish, we are the governing body, the council votes, and I believe that is the most effective way where it avoids any level of biased practices. for this council or any future councils, so I disagree with 227B as far as discretion of the mayor.
If I could respond to that. And of course, how y'all do it is up to the majority vote of the commission. The way it's drafted, the way it currently is because the charter states that the mayor is the official head of the city for ceremonial purposes.
And the mayor, he or she can remain in that position. However, the criteria has to be established of what constitutes the recognition of an organization, one. Two, discretion gives all power to one body, and the people of this city, voted not just for one seat, but for 6. So I say it's up to the body to make that decision. And that's just my take. Thank you.
That's up to 3 of the 5 of y'all.
Sounds good.
And I'm sorry, I'd just like to go back to the rules of procedure. In reference to A1, currently, we're submitting agenda items to Melissa. So I just wanted to understand the thought process of moving that duty to the mayor.
I believe, the core requirement is whether it's the mayor, because a timely submitted agenda item is going to make it to the agenda. The mayor does not have the discretion to kick off, I'm not saying he would, but the mayor does not have the discretion to not add things to the agenda that he doesn't like or doesn't want to be heard, as long as it's timely submitted to the mayor, and it could be somebody else, it could be the clerk. But the key is timely submission. The goal of the procedure is to make sure that things that the city council is going to review and discuss make it to the agenda on a timely basis. So it could be the city manager. It just needs to be a place where there's a line drawn, and if it's late, it's late. We'll put it on the next agenda.
So,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, I'm sorry. So the clerk or Jody could still add to the agenda, or is only
The mayor can still add, but if you don't hit this requirement here, it won't make it to that agenda.
And I also I want to follow that question. So agenda item A, so 224, rules of procedure, A1. I feel it was working well with submitting to our clerk. So it's been efficient. So we're talking about timelines. So timelines, we're just moving that to 7 days, right? And then 224 A2, it says the mayor may add items to the agenda within 7 days, day period, if the mayor deems it necessary. However, what about the council if they feel it deems necessary, as we all have equal powers?
You need to understand, what y'all come up with is what we're going to put in an ordinance, all right? The way we have it drafted right now is we have, get it to the mayor at least 7 days in advance. If you miss that deadline, if it's something the mayor deems important, then the mayor can add it.
So I, as an elected official, feel something deems is important, being the voice for the people that I connect with, being a representative for the constituents that voted me in. If I feel it deems necessary, I don't have that authority as an elected official?
If you pass this as it's currently drafted, that is correct.
Okay.
Unless the mayor concurs. If you deem that it's important, which you are one of the city's elected officials, just get it to the mayor at least 7 days in advance. If, on the other hand, let's say you become aware of it 5 days in advance, all right, then you need to get the concurrence of the mayor to add it to the agenda since the deadline was missed. It doesn't mean that it's never going to come up, it just means it won't be on that particular coming agenda.
If we adopt it?
Yes, if
Okay.
we adopt it. And these are drafts.
Okay.
It's up for y'all to decide what you want to pass.
And I would want to add that internally, staff is held to a Wednesday at noon deadline. Do I make that a hard deadline? No. I can use discretion, and that's currently what I do. But just so you know what staff is held to. And it's especially for a work session, more so for a work session, really. If 7 days is the week before, so a Tuesday before the meeting, and I want everything published out by that Friday. So you can just do the math in your head of what all is necessary from point A to point B. Currently, I'm publishing everything on that Monday, a week and a day before the meeting, so that you all have access to it as soon as possible. Now, obviously, there's changes that whole week, but it is a living, breathing document until that Friday afternoon.
Gotcha.
Really and truly.
Thank you.
And the idea is to get these items situated and settled so they can be presented to y'all in an orderly fashion, so that y'all have time to review them, all of you have time to review them prior to the coming meeting. And if something comes up that is, if a deadline is missed, but something is an emergency or very pressing, take it to the mayor, the way it's currently drafted, and, see if you get the concurrence of the mayor and say, yeah, we'll put it on there. Because those things happen.
Okay, discuss travel and training procedures.
Through some discussions that have taken place over recent weeks, became apparent, and also some experiences that we've had over, say, the past year or so. I think it's necessary to have this discussion, and it was also requested to be discussed as well. As far as policies and procedures, we have a list of policies as it relates to training, travel, per diem, lodging, and all of that, and we have always operated under those requirements. Ms. Byerdale, you presented an email that had sort of an outline form of points that were to be discussed, that you would like to have discussed as well. So I did take that and then I tried to expand on that by saying, okay, if we're talking about this, I've added in additional considerations that I think need to be looked at, because one of the things and one of the primary things that we were wanting to make sure we don't fall in violation of is the City of Ethics designation that the city has. We ran into discussion of language that is in that particular ordinance. It was a model ordinance adopted through, taken from GMA, adopted here, and actually under Carmen Rollins when she was mayor, to make Hiram a certified City of Ethics. We wear that logo proudly on our business cards, not necessarily stationary, but it is something that we're very proud of, and we were the first local government in Paulding County to have that designation. Others have since followed. But in taking the outline that was presented, I did go through and I added some other things that we needed to consider, or listing them as we currently address those things. From identification of issues that might be types of unforeseen circumstances, and I listed a few of them. Some were presented to me again in the email. Response protocols to establish a clear process for addressing these situations. And again, most of that falls back to policy. You have governing policies such as an ordinance, like the ethics ordinance, or the financial management policy, or the purchasing policy. And there may be others out there that we will consider, but most of these, as they currently exist, do not conflict with one another. But having discretion to address problems as they arise sometimes is inhibited by what these ordinances, what they say. And we are bound to pursue them and follow them as they're written. So I'm putting this back to you, and I can send you this as an independent document from this agenda. If you have a paper copy of it, you can take it from that or whatever. But to develop policies regarding these things to help us further your ability to travel, have flexibility, as has been mentioned from some. You have GMA presents the summer training session that they do, their summer conference, and generally they provide hotel accommodations at a contracted rate. Those things come with insurances provided through GMA's umbrella. Sometimes there may be a want as has happened in the past, deviating from use of those facilities. No one needs to be told that you can't do that, but we need to establish what the expectation is for what reimbursement, what would be covered by the city at the same rate as the hotel. We've established that in practice, but it's not really stated anywhere. It's just, this is what the reimbursement rate is tied to, whatever rate that the GSA has established, which is a federal website that tells us what we should expect whenever you're traveling. We use the IRS mileage reimbursement rate, so that if you're taking a trip in your personal vehicle, you're reimbursed per mile for the trip down there, the trip back, and incidentals that you may have to do, attending business meetings or going to dinner or something that's a business dinner. So I put this back to you with all these additions on here, so that you can give us feedback on this, but there are also some things that we want to make sure that we cover as well, such as travel accommodations. It is a tricky subject, as I discovered, because I took hand in attempting to do that in the past couple of months, and it presents a problem. If we're going to deviate from taking a personal vehicle or use of city vehicle, if there's one available, such as taking flights. And I don't think that needs to be, and I don't think anybody has said that needs to stop. No one has said that, but we need to figure out how that can be accommodated and not be a burden to staff trying to figure it out, because that disconnect cannot mean the person actually taking the flight versus the person who is taking the flight but didn't make the purchase can become a very complicated mess.
So wouldn't we just continue the practice of how we are getting our rooms booked now? We go through a certain employee, that employee books the room. Why would it deviate from booking the room in a flight? What's the difference in those practices?
They're going to book the room.
Yeah, we'll book the room.
No, because in the draft, it says, well, you know what, let me back up a little bit.
Sure.
So I'm grateful that we have this opportunity to discuss the gap that we have in our charter, which does not have anything in place as it relates to unforeseen circumstances with training. And this city was founded over 100 years ago. So I'm sure unforeseen circumstances have happened before, and they won't stop. But now this provides us with an opportunity to put something in practice, a policy and a procedure. But before I go there, I want to read a statement, and then I'm going to share GMA's counsel, Patel, what he has said about the ordinance that we adopted from GMA, which is in our ethics, code of ethics. Please bear with me, it's less than 2 minutes. Statement regarding travel reimbursement and ethical accusation. Let me say it loud so that people can hear it in the back. I have chosen to reimburse the city for my travel accommodations for training. Did you receive the check today?
I was shown.
Okay. Which was canceled by Georgia Municipal Association, GMA, due to Hurricane Hiram. That was, I think, a Category 4. Even though I am not legally required to do so, according to our attorney, and Patel from GMA, according to GMA's model ordinance that the city of Hiram adopted, I am not in violation of Hiram's ethics ordinance, specifically section 255 prohibitions, which states, no city official shall draw travel funds or per diem from the city for attendance at meetings, seminars, training, or other educational events, and fail to attend such events without promptly reimbursing the city. I have also consulted with GMA's General Counsel, Mr. Patel, who clarified the ordinance's intent is to prevent city officials from using city funds for personal travel when they intentionally fail to attend a scheduled event. The ethical violation, therefore, is tied to an intent to deceive and failure to attend an event that actually took place. Despite this, one of my fellow council members accused me of acting unethically. However, it is. However, it is evident that that accusation was unfounded. I'm glad you heard that. On Monday, September 23rd, I traveled to St. Simon Island with my family as my boys were on fall break, and I did not want to leave them home with their father for 30 years so I can be at training on behalf of our city. The city provided me $560 $567 calculated at the block rate room for training participants to cover my lodging, with me paying the difference. Additionally, I received a per diem check of $276.50. The training was later rescheduled, and I was informed by our city manager that I would need to personally cover the cost of future accommodations. However, the situation reveals a gap in our city charter, as there are no policies or procedures in place to handle unforeseen circumstances like the cancellation of training due to emergencies. This incident presents an opportunity for us to establish an ordinance that will guide future decisions in such cases. I have already drafted a proposal for our governing body to review, discuss, and adopt, which I prepared for the special calls meeting requested by the mayor on Wednesday, October 2nd at 11:30 p.m. I followed up daily to confirm the date and time for this meeting, but it never materialized. After more than 10 attempts to seek guidance from both our mayor and city manager, I now understand that this issue can be addressed at this time. This is not the first time our city, its employees, or its appointed and elected officials have faced unforeseen circumstances. The difference is, in the past instances, ordinances were created to protect those individuals. The lack of consistency in how we govern in these situations is both biased and concerning, and thank you for your time.
And I'd like to clarify something. I said that I thought it was unethical for the city to pay for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of your extended stay.
So I have provided a copy of Patel, who is the general counsel of GMA, and I've also proposed a proposal, because when I see a problem, I try to solve it. Only been here 3 years though, but here we go. And I don't want to have to go through the text or the emails or the various forms of communication that I've attempted diligently to try to find resolution to this situation. But here we are now, and we can discuss the draft that you presented, and then we can compare it with the one I presented, and we'll see what makes best sense for our city. Whenever, whoever can start, take the lead. Or we can just look at the draft that you created. For one, I did not understand in the draft that was created, was shared with us, that an employee who chooses to deviate from driving their own car or driving the city's car would be subjected to have to book their own flight when we are dependent on our city clerk to do the bookings for our rooms. So I don't understand why one would be different from the other, that practice. The other one is a traveler's insurance is going to be subjected to the employee or the elected official or appointed official who plans on attending training. If you are serving on the capacity of the city, why would we incur those charges for staying at a location that provides the accommodations? Some of us are married, some of us are parents, some of us are single, but we accommodate through a practice. So I don't understand why that was inserted in the draft. Because we do pay resort fees and other things when we stay at GMA hotels. Yes, go ahead.
First of all, what you have before you in this packet is not a policy. It is not a procedure. It is not an ordinance. What it is basically your statement to me that I took and I expounded on to show these are things that we would need to consider if we are to draft such a document. That is all this document is, because anytime there's going to be consideration of developing a policy or a procedure or an ordinance, there's generally going to be conversation that's going to lead to how that needs to lay out, as well as how it needs to be structured, and how to make sure that it is not going to conflict with other existing policies, ordinances, and procedures.
And as far as booking flights from the city clerk standpoint, I was the first one actually to book a flight for you.
You did, thank you.
And that was a difficult process due to understanding or lack thereof.
Okay.
So it is extremely hard to, okay, I want this flight, book this one, and we book that flight, right? And then come back later if there's questions, changes, charges you weren't aware of, well, what about my bags? I'm trying to book it, well, what about this option and this choice? I am not a travel agent, so if I don't read those fine lines in there, I do not want to be the monkey in the middle
I could understand
of that situation. You have options that are outside of that flight that don't have those caveats that we can get caught in. I know Jody was experiencing it, and he can speak for himself with this last round, but I'll be honest, a part of that was a discussion of him and I at my behest, because I get in there, and obviously I have, clerk duties that I'm doing, and it's easy to get on GMA and pop through, right? Go to their lodging now. If they don't have any available, that becomes a whole nother thing. But I just wanted to speak up on the city clerk's part and my side.
Okay,
I'll
so.
say that with my experience, because I've also booked a flight for you recently, and what I found was that I was having to provide information that is personal to you, social security numbers. I'm not comfortable with doing that. That is something that should be under your control exclusively. And for me to book it under my credit card, but have your name, have the social security card, that was something I was really uncomfortable with. But if we're talking about tax ID number, 580951980, I know it all day long, I'll send it on the rooftops. That's not a problem. Plus going to different websites, go to Delta itself, or you can go to one of the other airplane companies, the air company.
Airlines,
But if you're going to the bargain companies too, that's an added layer to navigate. It becomes a very complicated and elongated process.
I agree. And I was trying to save the city money, which is why I went to that third, but from now on, so we can simplify the process. We're saying that it's too cumbersome or it's difficult. So the same way here, this is the room that we're staying, here's the block, here is a screenshot of the flight number, here's my personal information, the same type of information that you would need to submit for booking a room. So I'll make sure that it's less confusing. So from now on, if it's a flight, I'll make sure that direct information is presented in an email or some form of writing and print form, and I will submit that.
If that is the will of the council going forward, to establish that as the procedure, the city purchases those flights outright. Like I said, I would like to be heard and hope that you all have feedback. I wish it was as simple as that. I really do. We found out with hotels, when there was a deviation for a hotel, that you sent me this link. Great, go book it. Well, it was in another state. It was not in the correct state.
Well, we talk about, those are errors. Those are not common practices, and that could be worked out.
Otherwise, I just would have booked it, and you would have gotten to the hotel you thought you were booking for, or the flight, I can't remember if it was hotel flight, and not had that. That is what I do not want to be responsible for.
Okay, so we'll simplify that.
Jason?
The city offers to reimburse for travel, for mileage. That should be it. If you choose to take an alternate form of transportation, you should you do that yourself.
Mayor, in your powers, it does not indicate that you can dictate how we proceed. So if you look at the charter and understand the exercises that you have the power to execute, that's not one of them.
Well, I'm not dictating anything. As they pointed out, it'll be a vote of the council.
Oh, okay. I'm okay with that.
What we're trying to do here is be conscious of the workload that our employees have, and this deviates from that and elongates their work process.
Well,
That's all I'm
what you
talking
just,
about.
no.
That's all I'm talking about.
Well, what you said was, are you done? Because I'm going to be respectful of your time.
Go right ahead.
Okay, so Mayor, you just stated that reimbursement of mileage for travel should be the only source that we use, the only practice. Then when I said you don't have the authority based on the powers in our charter, you stated something other. So I just wanted a question of clarity. Are you saying that we cannot travel outside of a vehicle and be reimbursed?
You can, but the reimbursement is just for mileage.
No, that is not the case.
Well,
The city-
I'm sorry, I'm going to jump in here because
But-
I travel all over the United States probably 15, 20 times a year. I book my own flights just for this reason, because if the book gets booked wrong, and then I've got to change it, I got a change
understand that.
fee, I got all other things. When I was in government for 34 years, when we traveled, the agency I worked for had a travel policy that if training or where you were going was within the state of Georgia, you drove. They would not pay for airfare. If we were traveling to a training course that was outside of Georgia, it had to be 600 miles before they would pay for airfare. So we knew we were going to have to drive if it was within that 600 miles.
Okay, so we are now members of the NLC, the National League of Cities, and they're having their annual conference in Tampa. Should I drive there, or would I be able to take a flight?
It's 480 miles. I know exactly.
Right,
So technically, if we had a policy in place, not a change of the charter, but a policy in place that said anything within 600 miles you had to drive, you would get reimbursed for your mileage, but anything over that cost for the airline ticket, you would have to pay for.
Okay, so we don't have that policy, and we'll create it together as a governing body.
Okay, I have one thing. Melissa, you said that whatever the council decides, but you said that you would make sure that all that information went in an email to them. Please don't put it in an email due to the fact it's an open record if it's an email, and I don't think...
Pure transparency, why would I not put it in an email?
I mean, if you put it in an email, if you're comfortable putting your social security...
No, most flights don't require social security. That was just the third, that one was different. So, but I
Okay.
do understand, and I thank you for your concern.
On that.
Yeah, that was different. Yeah, I definitely agree with you, Jody. Thank you, Doris.
All right, discuss event planning, Mayor Pro Tem.
All right, so we are we have been discussing some ideas of how event planning should be performed or carried out. We have an event planner who also holds several titles, and she does a phenomenal job. However, there has been discussion about being intentional with representing the demographics that we are elected for. I believe the statistics for this area, 35, the majority of the people here are 35, and that's where I think that discussion came in with the DJ. I truly don't appreciate learning about our events from the public. I feel I should be informed prior to the public so that I can speak to that. That's one thing, and I understand we're working, and we continue to provide. The Veterans Memorial, it was posted on Facebook, I had no idea. It was brought to my attention.
The ribbon
No,
cutting?
the ribbon cutting. And speaking of the ribbon cutting, who determined the date?
Dedication.
The dedication, the ribbon cutting. Who determined that date?
I would have to defer to Jody.
Jody?
That was a discussion with myself and Cliff and the mayor.
And you don't think it would be courteous or to extend professional courtesy to the governing body, since we are also want to be present and support our events?
Well, we knew that the construction of the Veterans Memorial is supposed to be complete as of November 8th. If everything goes according to plan, that's when it will happen. You have Veterans Day, which occurs on the 11th, which the city has also designated as
It's a holiday.
day off for the city. So we were going to do it as soon after Veterans Day as possible, which would be the 12th. That's the logic that went into it.
Was there a reason why you didn't include the council in an email so we are all kept abreast or aligned with the information?
No reason.
Okay. Could we now move that into practice, that the council is informed of these kind of events? I've had several constituents call out and ask me, there was an event that we did not host, it wasn't our event, and we're talking about homecoming. Homecoming has been taking place, I believe, for 20 years now. And when I asked for a post to be placed on our Facebook page as a courtesy to our citizens, because the road closures, not the road closures, but the route would impact businesses and our citizens. As you can see, there are comments on that post. Once it went up, people were disappointed to find out in less than 24 hours that something was going on in our backyard. It's not our event, however, we host it every year. I think we should extend that courtesy to the people that live here. Our businesses could have benefited from knowing that ahead of time, where they could have done homecoming specials. Olive Tree or Affectionate Cuisine or the dentist, the Philly cheese stop. They could have done something to just complement the events. The other thing is, I noticed that there was a post for New Year's, and I know Councilwoman Tiffany Carroll has been advocating for a DJ since June. A band was selected. I don't know how much the band cost because we were not provided an update, and I believe as a council, we should have some input about our events. In fact, I feel it should be approved, not that we want to micromanage, but this way we keep ourselves aligned with the information, and if we disagree, because we are the first encounter, we are connected with the community. So those who work in City Hall, under the City Hall roof, I don't think they have that much opportunity to engage the public that are not coming into our city. So I do feel that we need to create, like you said, I think you said through ordinance, then let's create an ordinance that we can have that involvement, that participation, or just to leave it as approval. Because how much was the band?
The total is right at $8,000.
For the band? I would not have approved that. So did we pay a check? Did we pay that?
We have agreed to it, yes.
And I know Tiffany Councilwoman at the last planning meeting, was told that we would be provided with information prior to any contractual transaction. That did not happen. I don't know if that's not insubordination, that's just a mix-up, that's just something, an oversight. However, with the approval of council is what I'm seeking, any events that take place in our city, so we can be the voice to the people, the insight that we're gathering. I started that community engagement initiative. We're on post number 4, where we're engaging the citizens and listen to what they want, not what we want. I'm only one of 5,000, or approximately 5,000. So to make this a fair game, to represent the folks, as we have taken oath to do, I would appreciate that consideration to be made. And I'm done.
I would like to mention the email that went out from Kathy with the band information to
Yes.
the 2 different options and availability.
Mhm.
And I believe I saw one response, and that was from you. It just sounds good. How much? I did not see a response from any of the other 5 that I recall.
And I didn't even get the response with the question of how much, because if I knew it was $8,000, I would have thought that that would be a very big investment for one event. And I would not. I'm very conservative with our spending. When it comes to these events, we can do better.
In regards to any activity of any type of band for a New Year's Eve event, your increased pricing goes up almost $3,000 to $4,000 over their normal production. We wanted to do a band since this was our 2nd annual event. Last year we had less than 10 days to plan it, so we had to use a normal band that we had knew locally. This band is part of the Party Nation that performs for the Atlanta Braves. It has a huge following. We wanted to bring something in big to the city that would have the footprint to bring a following of a band. With that comes
You mind going to the...
yeah.
Thank you.
I didn't know if I was speaking out of turn.
No, you are the event planner.
In regards to the band, like I was saying, is that with the New Year's Eve event, the pricing of any bands will go up because of the night, the performances and everything. Due to us being a 2nd year event for this, we wanted to make sure that this year we put ourselves out there with a band that had their own huge following. So I contacted Party Nation. The actual original band with Party Nation is already booked for that night, but this is a secondary band that they use when they're not available on the Braves nights that they use. They're called Bogey and the Viceroys.
They're good.
They are a very diversified band. One of the things that I looked at, which I sent out, was their song list, because that was one of the things y'all requested. You commented back to me, Ms. Vidal, that you knew many of the songs. I have tried very hard to make sure it's a very diversified group. We are working on getting the MC, which is the main driver of the event. As far as a DJ, the sound company that we currently contract with, they are an advertised DJ company. They come, they set up, they are able to provide DJ services that already are included in the pricing that they pay. The pricing itself did not go out for the band, because to me, when I'm doing an event, I'm giving a flat budget to organize that event, and as long as I stay under that budget amount, to me, it doesn't matter if I spend $10,000 on the band and $2,000 on the children's area, or $10,000 on the children's area and $2,000 on the band, as long as I'm remaining under budget, which I have consistently done since I've taken the events over. in the withdrawings, getting sponsorships and everything else. To me, it doesn't matter the cost of the event, it's how the event production ends up, and that we stay under budget. I was under the understanding, as far as long as everything stayed under that budget amount, that I did not have to get council approval for every expenditure.
No, just the overall.
And that's already been approved in the budget, that you approved in the budget.
No, as far as, so Tiffany Carroll, I remember, she was very vocal and diligent with expressing her desire to represent the younger population. And she was informed that she would be updated. She has not received the updates. Did you receive the updates?
We've not had an official meeting yet with expenses.
No, I mean, via email, I mean, the marketing has already been posted, so
Well,
which,
we already approved by the council the dates and the times.
Right, correct.
That's what's been put out there. Nothing else has been put out there as far as entertainment or anything has gone out,
Well,
except for
hold
now
on,
that we,
Kathy, it was put out,
What,
with
that
the
was-
examples in that email.
now,
of-
now that we've contracted with that vendor or the band to do the music and everything, that has been added to what flyers I'm putting out now, which is on the top of the book here that I'm starting to put out.
And I'd like to re-suggest something during that same meeting that you're talking about from Red, White, and Blue last year, when I suggested an event planning committee of the council that hasn't been created yet. That's the best way for that input to come through. All of your voices can be heard, and it's not a wait for a vote, wait for a decision every step you take. Because as you can see from that email, which I wish I had the date, until now is long. We can't wait that long for that input to come. So I would like to re-suggest a committee for event planning. These are the things that are important to us six.
I'll volunteer for the
Let's
committee.
See how will you actually do
I'll
that
second.
to the council?
New Year's Eve
Okay.
events, band, any kind of band is booked at least a year in advance.
Yep.
The only reason we were able to lock in this band is the group that had, the organization that had scheduled them originally canceled. This band also, as far as regarding your younger people and everything, they also do weddings. Weddings are normally between the ages of 20 to 45. When every video you can see on them where they post their wedding videos, everybody's enjoying themselves, everybody's up and dancing. That is what we were driving to get, was something that was inclusive, that it got people moving, that it made it more of a block party, which is the whole theme of our New Year's Eve event.
Thank you, Kathy.
I'll sit on that committee also.
I'm just going to put down as a new business item because it is a formal act of the council, so that you all can.
Thank you, Kathy.
Six.
Really appreciate it. You do a good job.
Okay, Melissa, do you have items for review consent?
Yes, sir. Item number 3, the body worn camera grant increase. I have that as consent. No action on item number 4 because you already voted on that one. I remember.
No, we've got a,
Not yet.
we've got a vote coming up on that.
Oh, sorry, yes, you will. See, I still messed it up. At least I knew no action next week. The 7 vehicles. I have a question mark just on the finance method. Are you wanting to wait?
We will, when we come back to the council, we will bring back both options of financing, both from Ford Motor Company's financing and through GMA to make a decision.
Okay, so I'll put it on new business, so you choose that method. The Rosenwald's request I have as consent. The millage rate I have as new business, so it stands all by itself since it's council meeting calendar consent with no changes to the proposed one. The events place contract, I'll put that in new business because I'm going to edit it and send it back out with the no politics similar to Grace Mill. That's the only reason for new business. Live streaming, I have as consent for the recording part. So you all would need to tell me if you're wanting to take it to a different level or you're expecting something different. Because I know that when he came out with the $59.88 a year with our equipment, record and post, not live streaming, I believe that was the $59.88.
Correct.
That was what I would have as consent. I don't know if you all wanted a different level or.
I would like to continue discussions on the live streaming. You can hear me.
Okay.
Who are we going to have for our next meeting to do that?
Good question.
TBD.
To be
Mr. TBD.
Rebranding, I put no action. And meeting procedures and the mayoral proclamation procedures, both as new business. The travel training, next work session? Okay. And then the event planning committee creation, new business. That's all I got.
Okay, new business, may I have a motion on item number 15?
I'll make a motion to accept the Firehouse Subs Public Safety Grant Award in the amount of $13,993.21 for the purchase of first aid kits and first aid training equipment for the Hiram Police Department.
I'll second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Item passes. May I have a motion on item number 16?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, before you enter into this business item,
Yes, sir.
just as a refresher, there was an issue at the last work session, the last session where we discussed this item. There was an issue of, it's denial or approved with these dips, but there was an issue of a 75-foot buffer or a 100-foot buffer in the event of approval. I'm just encouraging you, if you're going to have a motion to approve, make sure you designate what the width of the buffer is, if you're going that route.
Well, we all got an email, they want a 75-foot buffer.
Well, if that's what you all want to do, then you can do that. Just make sure you clarify.
I do have a question. Mayor,
Yes.
I need to ask a question to the applicant. Can I do that before a motion is made?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Have you guys done the traffic study yet?
No, we've not entered into the traffic study yet.
So you're looking to get approval without doing the traffic study first?
If I might interject one thing, the traffic study is generally not due until they go before plan review. That is what the expectation is when that's a requirement.
Well, what happens if it fails?
If they fail to satisfy the DOT's requirement through that traffic study, then you're looking at the development not taking place. Or they would have to go back and amend what they have done to find a more acceptable solution that the traffic study has identified. The problem that identified.
Okay, thank you.
But that changed the zoning.
Yeah. Thanks,
Part of
Bob.
this is changing the zoning requirement.
The
That's what we're doing, is
zoning,
zoning.
if you approve, apologize, our microphone goes off every 10 seconds. If you approve the zoning tonight, it will be zoned to whatever category that is. If the project itself has transportation challenges that result in an alteration, let's just say worst case scenario, complete failure of the project, the property remains zoned as what you approved tonight.
Okay.
That's what I want to know.
Furthermore, if they were to deviate or something were to happen where they deviated from the stipulations that were approved by the council, that would also cause them to have to go back for modification at the zoning commission as well. And then ultimately for you to decide.
I have a motion on item number 16.
You got it.
Okay, I make a motion to adopt ordinance 2024-15, rezoning of 31.5 acres on the north side of Atlanta Highway, SR Business 6, southwest side of Village Boulevard, north of Pace Road, east of Charles Hardy Parkway, SR 120, from B2 Highway Business District to R5 Active Adult Residential District for the proposal of 117 unit active adult What doggone it? This thing just went.
Here you go.
I got it. What was that? Single family attached residential development with 4 listed stipulations recommended by the Paulding County Planning Commission and the 2 additional stipulations as follows. Owner development agrees that all infrastructures within the development will remain privately owned and maintained by the Development Homeowners Association. The owner development agrees that 80% of the homes in the development at any given time will remain non-rental single-family properties to be monitored for compliance with the Development Homeowners Association
I have a question.
and other
Does
stipulations.
he have to put in there about the buffer since one said 75 and the other one said 100?
But I thought they said they agreed to the 75.
They did agree.
Okay.
And the agreements of the buffer and the stipulation
At 75.
at 75.
Thank you.
Tell you what, y'all got to shorten these doggone things. You're reading the doggone book up here.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Okay, item passes.
Celebrating already.
Yeah, so.
All right, comments, election day is November 5th, get out and vote. Work session is Wednesday, November 16th at 6 PM. It's not going to be on Tuesday because that's election day. So it'll be November the 6th. Wednesday. Melissa, you have a couple of
So,
announcements?
Frank, they're not gonna do the event, they're not gonna have early voting at the event's place in Hiram? Or they're
No.
gonna do it only on the day?
Just on the other.
No, great. We came up with that.
You can go to Diane right now.
Just a couple of things. I would like to welcome Christy Langston. She is our new deputy, newest deputy clerk. Hope to keep her longer. And she figures from Aragon, actually.
Arrogant.
Yeah, don't drive down there.
On the other side of Rockmore.
I live in Rockmore, but I don't work. And then also a farewell to Scott. So we have a coming and a going.
Truly missed.
Thank you, Scott.
The work that he has done, and I can tell you, by looking at that price, he's probably going, holy cow. Because this man does not he does not charge for what he does, as far as what he should charge. And I have to argue with him when he comes here to help and do this or do something extra, put that on your invoice. So he has spent countless hours on his own to make a good product, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Tiffany, you got anything?
No?
Bob? No. I'm good. Melissa?
I just want to thank the police department for their annual trunk or treat. They had my favorite candy. I loved it. The children loved it. So thank you for bringing that to our community. The other thing that I wanted to share is just an idea for us to kind of process overnight, tomorrow. I would really like to take the opportunity to recognize the Hiram, so we had the Hiram homecoming, right? And there's a valedictorian, and then you have the second, the GPA, the highest GPA, and then the homecoming king and queen, I believe is what they call it. I think we should recognize them for their academic efforts, their accomplishments, and for the social aspect of it. Just a quick recognition, and I'll follow up in an email. That's all I got.
I'm sorry, how for the recognition?
Bringing them in as we recognize other people, not a proclamation, but just maybe a certificate of achievement for having the highest GPA. I think that would be nice. It shows partnership.
Want to send an invitation?
I will take care of it with the Principal Hodges.
Okay.
Derek, you got anything? Doris?
No.
Chief, you got anything?
No, sir.
Okay. The meeting will adjourn from executive session. May I have a motion on item number 17?
Okay.
I knew it.
Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. You called me in.
That's right.
I'd make a motion to enter into the executive session to discuss real estate and personnel.
I second.
All in favor? Opposed? Okay.